welcome to the Racers HQ podcast. I'm your host, Matt Murphy, and joining me on the line tonight, teammate, faithful co-host, Pat Mulry. Pat, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Good evening, Matt Murphy. I'm well. And yourself?
I am doing well, thank you. And very special guest returning us on the pod, my beautiful bride, Alyssa Murphy. Alyssa, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Good. Well, perfect. I'm glad to have everybody on the line. We might have another special guest later on, depends on how the Thunder are doing. We always got to kick it off with what are we sipping on? So, Alyssa, do you have any special beverages you're working on tonight?
I'm sipping on the lovely Chloe Pinot Grigio that my husband brought home from the grocery store.
Nice.
Yeah?
That's our go-to grocery store Pinot
ombre
these days.
wine glass, ombre stemless wine glass. That's important for your listeners to know, I think.
It is, yeah. And Mulry, how about yourself?
I am classing up the joint tonight with a tall glass of iced tea.
Perfect.
Ooh.
It's probably smart after a long weekend at the track.
Yeah, I feel like I am still like a little bit in rehydration mode.
Sure. Well, guys, I've got a special treat for you because I'm about to try for the first time ever, debuting on this pod. We're going to try to get some audio sound, audio sounds. Yeah, you get it. Todd showed me this trick this weekend on Saturday night. He introduced me to the Todd Palmer. No, the Todd Palmer. Are you ready for this? So it's a light beer, I believe, on ice in a glass. Yeah. And then because you got to stay hydrated, you put some lemonade Powerade in your light beer.
Oh, Todd, I love you. Todd is, by the way, on the leaderboard of Alyssa's favorite on the Lemons team. Pat, I don't think we filled you in on the leaderboard. Todd's up there. Todd's up there. All right, he's my bestie.
Todd's a good guy.
Todd's my bestie. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you guys get along well. It's not bad. It's not bad, Pat. Pat about died laughing there as I took my first swig of the Todd Palmer.
I couldn't help it. I mean, I got what you were saying, but I couldn't help but think that it looked like you were pouring pickle juice into your beer, which I know is a thing in some places.
Oh,
and
sure.
Also, I like pickles, and sometimes I like beer, but I don't think I know I don't like pickle beer because I've had that. Have you ever bought a can of that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's too much.
Sometimes I make them as like sours, like a gose, and it's just too much. Anyway, yeah.
Todd Palmer.
The Todd Palmer. Not bad, refreshing. So
I think I like it better as the Arnold Spickard. You start
Arnold
with
Spickard. Okay.
That's right. You start with the lemonade, Gatorade, and finish with the beer.
Is a better name. What's up there, Pat? Pat's giving me hand signals. Am I crazy?
I don't know. Either my system's glitching or yours is. I don't know which it is.
I think we are having occasional problems, but we were recording locally, so I think we can make this work.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So this weekend we went racing. Something that Racers HQ occasionally does.
We always cook food, but we sometimes race.
That's right. So no culinary trash tonight, except for the Arnold Spickard. But we're gonna get right to recapping the weekend. We had a lovely time at Hallett in Jennings, Oklahoma. Pretty cool track, and we attended the 24 Hours of Lemons, event there. But I think there was a lot kind of leading up to that. So, Pat, why don't you give me just give me your quick kind of rundown of like how stressful it was trying to get to the track.
Wow. This is probably the most stressful 2 or 3 week period I've ever had before a race. It's been a year since we had this car on track and we melted the head last year with it running lean. And it's really been a lot of work over the last year trying to determine the cause of that problem and then the solution for it, and kind of struggled through some vendor issues from time to time, people at distance promising they would do things and waiting on them to do things, and then they just flake and like, yeah, dude, sorry, I can't get around to it, sold too much stuff on Black Friday, I gotta fulfill those first. I'm like, dude, like, you made me a promise like a month ago.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. So in the fall, when you have 6 months before the race, it's like no problem. And then, some jerk eats up 3 months and you're still trying to figure it out. And so we get around to about 2 weeks before the race and car still isn't working, and just kind of throwing a lot of effort at it. And not breaking out the parts shotgun. Not that hasn't ever happened before, but it's just not that effective if you don't really know what the problem is.
Yeah.
And you can create more variables than you're solving for. So, the week before, it looked like it wasn't going to happen, and kind of gave the preliminary warning we might need to warm up the Eric's Jaguar, Cadillac, Chimera. How do you say that word?
Sure.
And so he got working on that a little bit more. He actually had the parts en route already, I think, to get it fixed. And didn't think that Miku was going to run, and then it got running, and then it had an idle air control valve failure, but fortunately I had a good used one. There's our guest of the night. You want to introduce our guest?
Welcome, special guests. Just in, Roland Vaughn. Roland, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm fine.
We had kicked you out of the podcast channel for a while because we didn't trust you. Guys here.
No, it's Murphy. Murphy's the one who's giving weird computery things.
Am I making computery sounds?
You sound like Max Headroom.
Oh, really?
There's
Okay.
a reference that only your old audience is going to get.
I'm going to bounce and return. Pat was just filling us in on the stress it was to get to the track. So,
yeah,
keep it up, Pat.
Yeah,
I'll be RB.
I'll fill time here. So we, the week before we didn't think it was going to work, and Eric gets the part in to make the Jaggernaut. That's what he calls it, right? He calls it the Jaggernaut. Is that right, Roland?
Jagalac. Wasn't it the Jagalac?
Jagalac, that's right. No, I call it the Jagalac.
I've heard both.
Okay. And but that's his. Do you know what year that is? It's a Jaguar XJ6, and it's an older one.
Yeah, I don't know the exact year, but I think early '80s, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe late '70s.
Yeah, that's newer than I was thinking. It's when they were still making Jaguars out of like battleship steel. That thing is heavy, and then it's got a 500 Cadillac motor in it. So that was the backup plan. And the BMW was running, and then it had the IAC valve issue. But then I had a spare one that actually was working that I thought was dead, that went in. And then there was some other work that had to get done to really get it running. And then it was running right, like better than it probably had ever run before. Like really smooth and great. And so then I guess on whenever that was, Wednesday, maybe, told Eric, isn't that right?
It was. I feel like it was Wednesday. It might have been Thursday, but yes.
No, it was Wednesday. I know it was Wednesday because we loaded up the trailer on Thursday. Because I remember saying to, I guess I could look on my phone, but saying to him, well, we could still bring the Jag if you want as like a backup, or put a for sale sign on it because he's trying to sell it. And he was like, no, I'm done. So we loaded up on Thursday, and in Todd, the originator of the Arnold Spickard, his trailer. Roland, you missed that. Spickard has a new drink to stay hydrated while drinking beer, and it's half light beer and half lemonade Gatorade.
Okay. I guess that might be worse than the previous one I heard, which is uh, uh, Gatorade Zero and vodka
Ugh.
Mm,
to stay
No, that sounds
hydrated.
terrible.
I'd go there.
It was the drink of the summer 2024.
Hot girl summer. Love it. Is my voice any better now, guys?
Oh yeah, that's a lot
We're
better.
very meta podcast here. Okay, great.
That's right.
So have you wrapped up?
You and the producer have the same internet?
Yeah, we do. Mhm. So it should be gigabit fiber. So we'll see. All right. So
Yeah,
Maury, you were going along the lines there of.
Yeah, so we had just gotten to loading up Todd's trailer and heading up to Hallett. So
Nice.
that's where we were.
In the meantime, I went out and met Eric and tried to do some work on the Jagalac on Tuesday, and shout out to Eric for thrashing, trying to get that
100%.
thing ready, because we didn't do much after I'd gotten there because he was already beat. And then he took off the next day and was thrashing all day long. So when you sent that text that we didn't need it, it didn't surprise me that he just put his tools down and went and took a nap.
Yeah. No, that was a hero effort from him. Maybe we should have taken it anyway, not to spoil or anything here.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I assume most of our listeners were following on Race Monitor, social media, Twitch, whatever.
We're all over the place.
They know the story. We're just giving the behind the scenes here a little bit.
Inside baseball.
That's right.
But yeah. So you finally got the thing on the trailer, which was a big bunch of work there. And we got to the track Thursday night. I towed an RV up there. I had the easy job, so our first time dealing with RVs, but we can get into that later. It's pretty gross. But
that's right. We can have a whole chapter on RV.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. We had some work to do
Thursday night.
Thursday night, yeah. Sorry, Thursday night.
I mean Saturday night too, but Thursday night we definitely did because there were so many things.
Alert.
Yeah, really. Thursday night we did. I mean, it was like alignment stuff, like the car needed to be realigned. I don't even remember everything else. There were like some smaller things like replacing a couple of things here or there, and Roland got to spend about 17 hours getting the steering wheel straight, because then we'd do something in alignment and be like, oh no, now the rack's centered. And he'd have to do it again. Well, now the rack's centered.
So Pat's saying that he doesn't remember too much about what happened Thursday night. That probably led into Friday night's rule, which is no drinking until the car is done getting worked on, because the alignment I feel like took way longer. We had prohibition on Friday due to how long it took us to align the car on Thursday.
Yeah.
I think we all deserved it Thursday night, so not too bad. I wasn't too mad at it. We got till about 1 a.m. I think, working on things. Yeah, that was awesome. So I don't know. Does that kind of wrap up Thursday? Do we want to get into Friday practice, or any more hot takes on the work we had to do?
I don't know. There was more of it than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, when you're prioritizing and get to a race, like, you just can't do a lot of the other things that still need to be done, like an alignment, while you're trying to get the engine working right. So
now, Pat, I provided this feedback at the race, and I still stand strong on this. I really think we should have consistently had a butt in the seat or some sort of ballast to represent dude in the seat, because it can make.
Well, we did for part of the time.
Yeah, for part of the time, but anyway, that's just my hot take. I think it changes things. It'd be interesting to measure that. Maybe we should do that. We should test this empirically and see if it does matter.
That's not a bad idea. I do always throw like 200 pounds of ballast in the seat if you're checking the corner width.
Oh sure, yeah.
Try to get the ride heights correct.
Oh yeah, that's real important.
Yeah. So Friday morning we did driver's meeting for Hallett, and then for the Hallett test day. And I went out first just to try and make sure the car was not going to fall apart, and kind of drove it about 0.5 maybe, like halfway, accelerate halfway down the straight and get off and make sure it's not, like burbling and popping, and not that, we don't have it tuned that way, but just to make sure like everything's safe and the numbers are all safe. And it drove great. Other than, the track was drying. It was still weeping because we'd had, what was it he said on Saturday morning, like 14 inches of rain in the last couple of weeks before.
It's still continuing, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Well, what's interesting, another spoiler alert, when Todd and I drove across the Red River going north, it was up, but it wasn't like, wow, that's really high. On the way back, it was really high. Like if it gets much more water, they're going to close this bridge across I-35 kind of high.
That's weird. It's weird that you could see the water Sunday night.
Yeah. I guess it was from earlier in the week, like it had just worked its way down or something, right? I don't know.
Yeah, more foreshadowing. Yeah, I mean, practice was, am I wrong? Fairly chill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm back and forth on this, and I'm Captain Be Chill on Friday, but every time something happens, it's like, if we were less chill on Friday, maybe we would have seen this. And I don't know what your agenda is. I missed the pre-production meeting.
We're just kind of walking through the day, so yeah.
Okay.
But I understand you do have to you do need to test in the actual environment, right? Like if you were doing do like a server test, you would want to test it at load to make sure it can do the server thing it's supposed to do. Right, where it's good to try to shake out the demons early.
That's true, but we did have a couple of, not long stints, but I think Steve went out for 20 or 25 minutes, and Spickard went out for 20 or 30, and I didn't do very long. Roland, you didn't do very long. Matt, you didn't do very long. I don't remember how long Eric went out for. I don't think it was very long, but Steve and Eric both went out for. Steve and Todd both went out for a little bit longer, so I think we at least got it to full temp and everything. And I get where you're coming from, Roland. That's why I would have preferred, obviously, to like have it out at the racetrack weeks before to shake all that stuff out. And it just, we just ran out of time.
But we hardly identified anything on Friday, though. It just kind of ran like a top, right? Like,
yeah.
I think the most difficult thing Friday was just buying gas, because I guess Hallett's credit card machine was down, and they doubled the price of their gas, so a little painful there.
Yeah,
Hallett,
and then then on top of that, the young lady who was trying to run the credit cards on her phone, like her phone wouldn't run the credit cards anymore.
Yeah.
Didn't you have to like go get cash somewhere to pay?
Oh yeah, and then I had to pay her. And then I had to pay her in cash, and she didn't have any change. So it was like every possible failure. But that's fine. It was like being on, Benny Hill or something.
It was a little Benny Hill. Yeah. And let's see, Friday night the debacle with the ribs.
We had some ribs that didn't quite make it up to temp, but we just put them back on. And again, shout out to Eric. He does a lot of work for the team. I don't think we needed to add any. You cook all food to his plate after having tried to revive it. Let it fail. Nope. Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah, no, but the plus side was the mac and cheese that he brought was very, very good. One of the best mac and cheeses I've ever had. So
I like it.
Yeah. And there was other food too. But and the nice part was then we threw the ribs back on Saturday night, so they were double smoked, and then they were very tasty. I've never had double smoked ribs before, so I think we definitely made lemons out of lemonade with that.
Yeah, good idea.
Or lemonade out of lemons, whatever.
There was a lot of meat consumed. That was a general concern of mine. We were not eating like we do at the house, kind of thing, like you're supposed to do. It was meat on meat on meat, kolaches and burgers and ribs. Oh my! But anyway,
yeah, bratwurst between a sandwich of 2 burgers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, Friday night, Alyssa showed up. Alyssa, thanks for joining us. Did you? Do you want to hop in and just say a few things about the weekend, or do you want to kind of keep going with the with story time and chime in on the bits that make the most sense for you? What do you want to do, Boots?
I was recapping my photos from the weekend, and my iPhone and my Facebook memories actually popped up and started showing me pictures from the first Lemons race that I ever showed up to.
Oh my gosh.
It was 2013, you guys.
Wow.
Yep.
I go way back. I go way
5 years ago.
I know, a little bit longer than that. And that was the Simca. That was the Haribo Simca.
Yeah.
ECR.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Yeah. I told Matt on Wednesday. I said, I'm really excited to hang out with the guys. I'm really excited to hang out with the team. It's been a long time. I never know when I'm going to get to see you guys again. So I was excited to show up. Matt never gives me a birthday gift early, but he gave me my birthday gift early this year, which was a new camera body, because I've been getting into my photography hobby the last couple of years. I finally got an upgrade, and he graciously gave me the upgrade, my gift, on Wednesday, and I said, "You want me to take pictures? Probably, don't you?" I said, yeah, for sure. So yeah, looking back at those first iPhone photos from Eagles Canyon Raceway 2013 to this year was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, the photos that I've seen you did a great job. They were really good looking, like composition, everything. I was like, man, that looks like a real race car photo.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I think those new camera bits are doing good. I mean, she's been practicing.
But I will say
the butterfly photography comes in really handy with race cars and speed.
I got to talking to one of the race car photographers. I learned a lot in our race in Houston. One of the very official looking photographers that have the huge camera lenses, and they have all the gear and the hats and everything. I didn't realize that it was just a whole business. They're not part of the event. They're not usually part of the event. They're just kind of freelancers and will show up, take crazy pictures, and then sell them online or sell them out of the back of their whatever they do. But usually they don't talk to me, and I try to be invisible in the best of ways on the racetrack, just do my own thing. But one of the guys came up to me. He was really nice, and he said, "Hey, how are you? Are you getting into photography? What are your settings? What's your lens here?" Like, he was just really friendly and asking me questions. So I learned a few things from him about how to shoot cars so that they don't look like they're just standing still, just parked on the racetrack. So I got to actually use some of those skills this past weekend. I don't know that guy's name.
I was going to say, was it Dante?
I don't think so. No.
Was it Ken Griffey Jr.?
Stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right. Roland.
Oh.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you got to meet Ken Griffey Jr. He's hero of mine. So
who's the other
noted sports photographer?
Yeah, who's the pitcher? The Cy Young winner, who's a photographer now, like pitched for the Mariners.
Well,
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson and Ken Griffey Jr. both decided to take up sports photography after their baseball careers, and I don't know, get too far off base, but Ken Griffey Jr. was actually one of the few photographers to get press credentials at the Masters. So that picture of Rory McIlroy on his knees, like the one that's like perfectly framed, perfectly from the side, like ground level, Ken Griffey Jr. shot that photo.
Nice.
Wow.
That was
Also,
really
another fun fact about that story is Randy Johnson's logo for his photography company is that exploded bird.
You might need to give them some background for some of our less ball-centric sport
I am
listeners.
not a baseball fan, but it's Randy Johnson that was known for throwing very fast fastballs. And some math nerd calculated the odds. One time he was throwing a fastball, and this bird just swoops down directly into frame, and all you see on the television broadcast is just an explosion of like feathers, where you would have seen a strike or a or a hit. It was pretty amazing. So
Awesome.
I believe a dead bird is his logo
Nice.
for his photography company.
I killed a bird with my Miata one time at ECR, so I'm like the Randy Johnson of ECR. All right, so well, Alyssa, thank you. Thanks for taking all those photographs. They do look great, and I want to tease something here, but we're looking at adding or hosting a bunch of photographs on Racers HQ's website.
Cool.
And then might even be able to, if she's got pictures of other teams and stuff like that, they could hop in and, maybe buy some swag or, put it on a mug or something.
So many more photos to go through. Before I go, I think that it's important that an outsider who's not one of the teammates just gives your listeners just a little taste, because I gotta tell you, I told Matt, I love you as a car guy, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love a lot of car guys, and what I mean by that is like there's some events that I've learned different things about, and like every single one of these leagues is so different, and the people who go to them and the people who race them, they're all so different. But I have to tell you, Lemons I think is my favorite, and the team is my favorite because I've been watching you guys eat crow on some of these weekends. And there's just like this level of humility, and I don't know. You guys have gone through some really tough weekends and have like heroed through and powered through. I cannot work on a car. Actually, I take that back. I can do some very small.
You can change
things.
tires.
Matt's taught me how to be a better, teammate and supporter for him. But it takes so much. You guys have to be engineers. You have to be constantly fixing things and MacGyvering. It's just insane. And then on top of that, to be one of these guys who is, waiting to go and get out there on the track and race, and sometimes, all hell breaks loose. It's harrowing. Every single one of these weekends is harrowing. And I don't think, if your listeners haven't gone to a Lemons race, or if they haven't been a part of it, from the outside looking in, it's just wild that you just have this tenacity and this grit and this, connection with each other. I've not seen anything like it anywhere else. I think it's really hard to fake that, and it's really hard to, not be authentic about it, but you guys are actually very badass. So I'll never say that to you in person, so cash in these coins while you can, but you guys
we have this on tape though, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't ever have to say it again because I'm saying it right here, but there's just so much that you guys have gone through as a team, and every weekend I show up and I get to see it, and I've learned more about how all this stuff works over the last 12 years. So just kudos to you guys. You guys go through so much, and this weekend, had its ups and some downs. So it was not your worst weekend. It might not have been your best weekend, but it was not your worst weekend.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Alyssa. You've gone up on my whiteboard.
More on the
whiteboard. Thank you very much.
We've all got a list here.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm gonna actually have a whiteboard though next time. I can rank all the team members. Yeah, that is a thing.
I will say this. I mean, I
plus
think...
one and the minus one, like on Fantasy Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, you might not have been there. No, Alyssa informed us that she's going to bring a whiteboard and just rank all of her team members from like favorite to least favorite. And the way you move up and down this list, only has to do with how you make Alyssa personally feel.
In that moment.
So in that moment. So,
Roland
oddly, her
started out
sitting in the
real
lounger.
strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't have a lounger, so I moved down for the lounger. Matt's automatically starts in first, right? So he really has to screw up to start falling down the list, but or someone else has to do really good stuff. So Alyssa told us that we were all stack ranked in her
Todd
mind.
gave
at the
me
very
his
least.
princess chair. Yeah, Todd did give me his princess chair. And shout out to Todd. He is my bestie. We got to hang out at NASA in Houston a few weeks ago. And I just enjoy getting to know and hang out with all you guys. And now that I've said it and it's been recorded, I never have to say it to your face. So, hey, there you go.
Well, thanks, babe. I was like, Pat put together a good team, right? I mean, not all teams operate at this level, whatever that level is, right? I mean, we're clearly not engineering geniuses, but
no, I think
Spoiler
it's
alert.
fairly clear that we're way better drivers than mechanics.
sure.
Or
I think that you guys have really pulled some things through on some of these weekends.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, babe. No, it is a passion of it is a passion. For sure.
Well, thank you for teaching me
labor
of
love is what again.
sorry, my audio.
again, Matt's moving back up the list by giving Alyssa the better internet in the house.
That's right.
So.
I'm gonna give Matt the internet back. It's good to hang out with you guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for teaching me stuff. I've gotta get retrained on the comms and the radio stuff. It's been too long, but put me to work when I'm hanging out. Happy to do photos, happy to do comms, and yeah. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, babe.
Awesome. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we'll see. Well, that was awesome to have Alyssa on the pod. She likes to chime in and tell us all about what it's like being a track wife.
No, it's very sweet. It's nice to hear.
Yeah. Okay, so we got through Friday. Practice happened. Ribs happened. Saturday, I was jazzed up.
Wait, do we want to talk about a slight transponder incident on Friday?
Yeah, okay, we can talk about that real quick. So I had this whole idea that we were going to, not run a transponder until the very end of the day because we didn't want to win practice again. But I was like, well, we need to test all the things, make sure transponders work. So then it just so happened that I wasn't even gonna practice on Friday. Like I hadn't planned on it. I didn't even have my wristband. But then sure enough, Pat's like, no, get in the car, make sure you're comfortable, make sure that we're not missing anything. And it just so happened to be the end of the day, so I was like, okay, well, I'll put the transponder on, here we go. Well, a couple of things had happened that kind of frustrated me right before I got in the car. First of all, I get all suited up and get down there to grid, and I didn't have my wristband or something like that, right? Because I hadn't planned on practicing. Yep. So I had to return the car, and we're like running out of time, and I return the car, and I get back down to get back to the paddock, and I think at that point you guys were backing me out of the garage, and this RX-7 looks like he's gonna stop and let me back out, and then all of a sudden he wants to go around me, and it just seemed a little aggressive, whatever, but just kind of frustrated me. So sure enough, I get out on track, and I was trying to keep it pretty chill, I wasn't really gunning it too much. I was short shifting a lot. But then I saw that RX-8 and I got all red mist and knew I needed to dive bomb him, and then posted a decent time, probably like 4 seconds faster than anybody else. So didn't really cover up the pace on practice. My bad.
All that sandbagging gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it was on pace with everybody else that was driving the car, in practice, but definitely did a poor job of lying.
Yeah, that was funny. Although it wasn't as fast as your fastest lap in the race. So
yeah, we found another couple tenths. Yeah, but but pretty good. So it was fun. And then Friday night was pretty chill. I think it was Friday night when we watched Dallas win the playoffs, or
No, I think that was Saturday night.
okay. But aside from that, I think we were all pretty whooped from staying up all night, working on the car.
I went to bed early, like Friday night. I think it would have been like 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
you did.
I think we did. Yeah. Speaking about bed, Roland, what are your hot takes on beds?
Here's my hot take. Best I can tell, RVs are made for two parents to sleep in relative comfort, and everyone else arrangements are made so the kids don't ask to take the RV out too much.
Okay.
Best I can tell, because I tried sleeping on like the little bunk bed situation, which was some plywood covered in like a 1/4 inch of like foam, and it was literally the worst sleep I've ever gotten in my, years. And then so much so that Saturday night I slept in the little pull-out couch thing where you fold down the couch. That was actually better. And Eric ended up taking the foam from my bunk and quadrupling it up on his, and so he could have some kind of foam. But I believe, and I actually got into an argument with this about my sister Sunday, which is I guess she's an RV person, and I was like, listen, almost everywhere I'm gonna go is gonna have a hotel within driving range, and I don't see the benefit of getting an RV if I can drive to a hotel. Because if there's a problem with my shower in the hotel, I get another room. If there's a problem with my bed in the hotel, I get another room. If there's a problem with the hotel, I get another hotel. And all of these things happen every time I'm in an RV. And then there's all kinds of rules. Oh, I don't want to take a shower because they're too small. You don't want to do business in the bathroom because it's inconveniencing everyone else. I'm like, then why do I even have this if I'm going to be using the track shower and the track bathroom and not getting good sleep?
Yeah.
Did you notice how good Steve looked every morning?
Showing up at noon.
Like Steve Nicks looked like he came out of a salon every day when he showed up at the track. By comparison, we looked like we got out of a trench.
Fair. No, I think you make a lot of good points. I think I think having some room with really good air conditioning is very handy. But Todd's trailer does that for us, right? Especially if it was hot out. Like it was perfect weather this weekend, but
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do agree that aside from maybe also like if there's a good track party or if you need to work on the car late or something like that, I think they come in handy. But yeah, I mean, Sand Springs is 28 minutes away. It's not that bad. I don't disagree with you, Roland. But I'm going to do it again in June.
I'll counterpoint a little bit. Granted, I had a better sleeping arrangement than you did.
He had the parent bed.
I had the parent bed. But in my defense, I offered before anyone had picked any beds to not sleep in there. And no one took me up on it. So, but I mean, I'm not like a big RV fan. I agree with you. Like, although putting a restriction on what we do in the bathroom is just self-preservation, I think. But, it was nice to be able to have, all of our stuff right there. And if it had been warm out, it would have been nice to have something. And I really did like not having to drive half an hour to get back to the hotel and half an hour again in the morning. That was nice to just hop on the golf cart and right up. I wouldn't buy an RV. I don't want to live the RV LYFE, but yeah, I thought it worked out well overall.
Sure.
I think the next time we need to remember like to take the paper plates that we have in the paddock and take them to the trailer, so we're not having to. And when I say we're not having to wash dishes, I mean thank you, Roland, for washing the dishes.
I was like, listen, I don't know what Alyssa's like or what Rachel's like, walking around picking up behind you slobs. But I just want the first listener to know is when these assholes, oh, excuse me, is this a kid friendly? When they got done dirtying up all the plates, they started eating breakfast on saucers. And when they got done with the saucers, they went through all the bowls. Not one of them even washed their plate from yesterday. I'm starting to sound like my wife, and I totally get it. There was not a clean dish in the entire RV because if we had been one day longer, y'all would have been like somehow eating eggs and bacon out of cups.
Mm-hmm.
It's my mug of breakfast.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I think a split effort in the future is what we will find, right? I think a non-zero amount of RV-like solutions is handy at the track, but let us not all, force the issue, right? Some of us need to have some good sleep. So, but yeah. And some of us are going to want to just, hang out and probably try to save a little money too. So we'll figure it out. But
I'm sure there's a happy medium.
There's a happy medium. I think Friday night we bled the.
I think the happy medium for Roland would be like the Class A coach with like all of the slide outs. The whole thing's like the size of a double wide. I think that's more Roland speed.
I'm pretty sure some night around 3 a.m. It crossed my mind. Maybe we're just not spending enough on the RV.
That's very possible. I mean, the guys next to us had another 1,000 square feet, so they spent enough on the RV.
I mean, if Lewis Hamilton can spend a race weekend in an RV, I just need to figure out where are we going wrong here.
Okay, I like this. Yeah, we can spend $250 a night on them instead of $150 a night on them. Yeah. Something like that. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll keep adjusting. We always do.
That's right.
So Saturday was the big race day. We were all feeling good, right? I mean, car tested well. I mean, Roland, you tested the car a little bit on Friday. Any driving notes? I mean, did you push it hard enough to really get a feel for like balance? You're one of our hot drivers.
No, the car felt great.
Yeah.
I mean, more than anything, I just wanted to see what the new service at Hallett was like.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed the same. I'm not a construction engineer or whatever. It's been resurfaced, but it wasn't like it was totally re-asphalted, right? Because you can still see like some of the cracks and stuff, but they all been filled in and some kind of, I guess, coating was put on top of it. But it was nice and smooth, and the car, you guys are talking. I was laughing to myself when you're talking about whether or not we should have ballast in the seat when you're corner weighting the car, and I'm like, I didn't think it needed to be any faster, and I didn't think it was dangerous. So I was I mean, obviously that's not our issue. No, I thought the car felt great.
Yeah, car worked. Yeah, it was. I mean, on Saturday I did lost a little bit of traction going through too, but like it was this like sideways, just like the car was just hopping. It wasn't understeering, it wasn't oversteering. It was just like you'd push it hard enough to where it would just kind of like push towards the outside of the corner, but the whole car did. Again, it was so balanced. Yeah, great ride.
So Matt Murphy, Murphy started the race for us.
Yeah,
quickly advanced. I think you probably were pretty close to where the car the green flag dropped on, right?
Yeah, I was probably 12 back or less than that.
He was
maybe
he was like 12 back.
Yeah.
And so Matt advanced us into P1 inside half an hour, right?
It's about an hour. It took him a while.
Was it?
Yeah, one of the minis out front had lots of clean air that Matt had to make up, but I mean, within an hour, a little bit over an hour, he'd already moved us back into P1, which I kind of want to discuss because I hear that there are rumblings about how fast the car is, and I would like to point out that this was 3 of our drivers' home track, and And um, the E36 is kind of just a cheat code. I mean, Matt mentioned it before. It's like the car, it's got, good power, great brakes, it's relatively lightweight. It's very neutral, like perfectly like weight balanced. Um, Most of the time, I mean, you can watch it. It's like, for all of the, if any competitors are listening, wink, wink, you're losing all your time in the braking zones.
Yeah.
I mean, put fatter tires on it and put better brakes on it and go racing.
Yeah, it's safety equipment.
It's safety equipment.
Right.
And
I like it.
And it does those things very well.
Yeah,
And
when I was driving
it
the
is
car,
the right car for that track. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was going to agree with you.
When I was driving the car, I kept thinking of like the three-legged stool, or like it's always some compromise, right? You can't be cheap and fast and reliable or something, right? But I was like, this thing has got brakes, acceleration, and traction, right? Like everywhere you need to do something, it does something, right? Like you screw up the handling, you get compromised through a corner, you just slam on the go pedal, right? You come up on a bunch of traffic, you just dive bomb 20 cars into two, right? It's pretty amazing.
I think that's our. I mean, I feel like in some ways that's kind of our problem too. Like we see what a good tool it is for the problem when it's working right. Because if it weren't, we'd be like, screw the drama with this car. Let's do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And instead it's like, this car is really fun to drive when it's working. And so then like it's still when it's working,
Don't think people, it's like, I wasn't Googling how much does an iron block straight six weigh? How much does an LS weigh?
Oh yeah, we wouldn't pick up any weight, that's for sure.
Yeah. We've actually got a guy coming on the pod next week with an LS swapped E36, and he can drift time to track time, and he took it out today for a little test drive, and he said it is extremely fast. And so more to come on that, but yeah. So yeah, and I had the best time, Pat. Thank you so much for fielding a car. I mean, I know it's a team car, but really it's your car, man. You've been putting a ton of work into this thing down in Dallas, and a ton of resources, and just a real pleasure to drive. I appreciate you putting me out there first. And I don't want to toot my horn, but I was in total flow state. Like this is the place you want to get to as a driver, where like it is all just clicking. It's like system one has been trained to know how to manage the situation, and it is like 100% firing. And I'm just sitting there like checking the gauges and seeing what time it is and stuff. I had to calm myself down a little bit. There was a little bit of argy-bargy sometimes, and it may have been this people just didn't expect me to be coming up on them. But had a little bit of almost a black flag scare trying to make it pass. It didn't make it pass in the grass, but it got real close to that.
Matt,
and then
I saw that you were 100% in the grass.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I didn't want to admit to
it. I mean, yeah, 100% you were in the grass. You weren't 100% in the grass. It's like, but you were leaving two wheels off, because I was like, hey, Matt just got ran off the road. Yeah. Coming out of 9 to 10. Yeah, I saw you.
Yeah. And then they're pretty close to that incident. Somebody, tried to close the door on me like mid corner coming out of 10. Right. I mean, I understand if you show your intent that you're going to take the inside early apex on 10 and you're not going to let me in, that's fine. But if you want to do that like halfway through the corner and just decide you're going to shut the door on me when I'm right next to you, we'll argy-bargy, guys. But yeah, it was fun. A lot of good cars with good pace out there, though.
Yeah.
That Mini, and that race truck. So yeah, it wasn't easy to lap the field twice, but it happened.
I think that first night, first stint, I think I don't know, one of the Winnie that was winning went off. I don't know why he was off track for a little while, and that's where you got your deal. And I think the K-Swap Miata was having problems.
Yep.
So you know, a lot of things broke our way, but Matt was
Mhm.
driving the wheels off the thing also. So
Yeah.
we had a buffer on Friday.
Yeah.
Or
And then
Saturday.
about 2 hours in, and I will say that, boy, that Mini has some motor too. Like
Yeah.
they have that thing boosted. I could outhandle the thing, but we get on the front straight, and it was a drag race down to one. So
Mm.
it was a lot of fun. Um, but then, yeah, and then I had a low fuel pressure issue, and I think we can get into some funny, finding out things there. But I started getting low fuel pressure on the dashboard, and that freaked me out because I know that we've got this, fuel pickup in the tank that, when you run out of gas, like we saw this 2 years ago, I guess, when Nathan ran out of gas, it's immediate. You're out of gas. Like there's no warning sign. So I thought this might be the warning sign I needed. And that was like at 2 hours, and we were trying to do 2 hour 20 stints or something. And I was like, oh man. And my comms weren't working. Things kind of fell apart there towards the end of the stint. But I ended up really slowing down, trying to get everybody's attention, and then just bringing the car in.
Yeah, that's something we need to put on the to-do list. And we talked about while you were in the car when your comms, it was that your helmet came unplugged, right?
Yeah, I could feel it. I was fiddling around back there trying to fix the problem.
Yeah, that we need to come up with a more robust signaling system for when comms aren't working, both
Mhm.
ways.
Yeah.
We've fiddled, we've been dilettantes about it for 14 years, and we've never come up with something that really sticks. But we need to figure that out before the next time, and then we'll never have a
came up
comm
with
failure again.
Well, while it was maybe it was probably the next stint when we were talking about, hey, if you're having comm issues, always look toward our paddock space. But
Yeah,
that that depends on the track and where you're paddocked and all that kind of stuff. But Todd came up with a pretty good idea. Is like, we should check in with the driver at a set interval. We have a clock. We have the clock in the car now, right?
Mhm.
Half hour, whatever it is. Like, expect to hear how much time you've been in the car and how much it's been back. And if you're a driver
that's a
and you
good
look
idea.
down and you haven't heard anything and it's past time, Century 9 hasn't checked in,
Mhm.
then try it yourself. And if you don't get anything back, you're having comm issues, and that should automatically fall you back into looking for pit boards or
Mhm.
uh, looking for somebody waving frantically, suited and booted.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And we can just figure that out at the track. Once we figure out line of sights and where we are. Like, listen, if you don't at least get a how you doing or how's the temp, or you've
Mhm.
been in a car 30 minutes, you've been in a car an hour, you've been in a car an hour and a half, it's time to start looking back, because
Yep.
I know, unlike Todd, I'm pretty quiet on the radio unless something's happened. And as a matter of fact, my
Mhm.
blood pressure was up on Friday when we were doing testing. I just straight went out and just turned laps until I was, had worked it out. And I didn't even bring my helmet cable. It wasn't even plugged in. Couldn't have been plugged in. My
Mhm.
cable was still in the bag.
Mhm.
And I didn't even notice until like an hour after I got out of the car. It's like, oh, I didn't have my comms because I didn't plan on saying anything and I didn't want to hear anything.
Yeah. I guess we could go back. I mean, I don't know, Pat, if you want to talk about that too much, but we did. I think what Roland's alluding to is we did have a minor rules infraction, and we were asked to make some changes to the car on Friday that we weren't really expecting. And it's it can be expensive when you have to do that because you're in the middle of an open practice.
yeah. Fortunately, I'll get back to that in a second. Fortunately, Eric came up with a solution really,
Mhm.
really quickly.
Yeah.
So we didn't lose too much time on Friday. But the rear bumper cover on that car had gotten trashed a while back, and we've driven that car for several years without a rear bumper cover on it. But at this race, um, someone got feisty about being able to see a little bit too much skin on the rear tire, and wanted us to cover it up a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
Eric came up with a on-the-fly fix using one of our equipment tubs that got cut up with a grinder, cut-off wheel, and some rivets and some bolts, and then we had some spats behind the rear tires, so that if in the odd case, like, it's hard for me really to imagine the edge case here that someone gets their tire in there where they could catch their tire on your tire on the rear tire, where it wouldn't be, where you haven't already gotten pit turned. Like, it could happen. We see strange things happen all the time in racing that no one ever expected. Just ask Rubens Barrichello how that goes. Yeah, so that got fixed pretty quickly. We didn't lose too much. I don't think we lost too much test time on Friday.
Yeah.
And I'd not that I didn't get any feedback, but I'd love the feedback on how this works in general. But Matt called it a slight rules infraction, but to my knowledge, at least at the time, I was told this isn't in a rule book. This isn't a rule. This wasn't brought up in an email. This wasn't sent out beforehand. So they're talking about pulling you off track for something that they came up with on the fly. And I don't know what that says.
Pat's making signs on the
so
video.
What you're saying is
audio only podcasts. Yeah.
Don't go too ham on it, is what you're saying. Fair enough.
Well, you can understand the frustrations when you've paid for a track day and you have to take some time away from it. I think we could probably sum it up like that, right? But yeah, I mean, it was a new rule.
Yeah.
And you build the car to a rule set, and then that changes, and you may not, you may or may not have the provisions to do something about it.
Yeah. I don't think we'll run into that problem again.
Very good. Okay.
Like I said, I was hot because, as Alyssa pointed out too, it's like these weekends they get frustrating, and we've lately had more frustrating ones than not, and I was frustrated.
Sure.
Yeah. But then the car went out and did great on testing on Friday and the start of the day on Saturday. I mean, the relief that I felt, especially on Friday, when everybody got in the car, was able to turn some laps, and the car was just running right. And Saturday morning when Murphy was in there and most of Steve's stint, it was great. Like the boring race that you want it to be.
Yeah, I saw you over there scratching your head like you're getting into strategy mode, but you were like the scared guy out front instead of the guy trying to catch up, right? Like you were like, oh God, if our pace doesn't improve or their pace gets better or this and that, like you're gaming everything, right?
Probably more fuel
was
than
in the
anything
car.
else.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuel, okay.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, because I mean my stint was a little short and trying to game out everybody else's, but when I came in, we splashed some fuel in the car, and I hadn't really used much, so I mean I think our fuel strategy would have been fine. And so we were planning on.
That's another thing. That's another thing we learned. I mean, this one thing I kept coming back to for my own sort of sanity is this is really this car's second race.
Yeah.
It had a common parts source in the prior car, but we did the swap to this chassis. This is its second race. I mean, it really is. Particularly with not being able to get it out to the track before this race, it really is still in shakedown mode.
Yeah, 4 hours. I mean, it ran infinitely more laps this round than the previous race. So,
hell, the second race we ran in the MR2 was so that was before both of you were with us. It was before Eric was with us. We blew the engine at MSR Houston in the fall. Back then, they used to do 2 races. That was the fall 2009 race. Dad and I overnighted it back to Dallas to get a second MR2. brought that whole MR2 back, swapped the engine at the track with a engine of very unknown condition, got back out to get like 3 laps and got our first heroic fix award.
Nice.
The one that you never want to win again, and that we've won like 3 times or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so you know, Pat, Matt pulled me aside at some point during the weekend. It might have been even while we were still running well, and he was like, "I'm not in the stay up all night and fix this kind of mode anymore. Getting too old for that." Like,
What?
we don't need another heroic fix because it doesn't.
No.
Because I feel like, you're rolling the dice on whether or not it's going to be a fix or just make the problem worse, which I think is what happened last year, right?
Yeah. Well, it didn't make it worse. It just didn't make it better.
Fair enough. I mean, I think more things got destroyed.
Yeah. I think like last year, the first problem we had, it was like a head gasket, and by the end of it, it was head gasket and all the valves.
The head was toast. Because
the head was toast the first time.
Yeah.
And then the valve train on the second head. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That's the difficult part of timing a interference engine overnight.
Yeah, I mean, just saying, like, I'm not saying we K swap it, but the work compared to a K series is like, it's like it's not like you have to tension the thing to set it in place. There's something screwy about BMW motor where they just make it as infinitely possible or infinitely difficult as possible, right? It's like you have to have a special tool, you have to have this thing in tension, and then you have to put this chain on this thing, and if any of that slips, you're going to bend all your valves.
And you have to kind of wiggle while you do it.
Mm-hmm. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not a place I want to be at 3 a.m. on Saturday for sure.
No, that's definitely true.
So then Steve went out, and Steve was actually running really good pace. Steve was a little concerned in practice because he wasn't really able to get up to pace on his stint, and he was kind of confused as to where the time might be. But that was his first time to ever drive the track, and now he gets out there. He probably had a chance to watch somebody else's line or this and that, and he was doing well. He was having good pace, like low 30s, and a couple seconds off mine, but yeah, good stuff. And then I guess that's when things happened. I don't know what we started seeing a little bit of spitting on the windshield of the coolant, and then
then the denial set in.
Yeah,
the denial, which was followed by like basically a day and a half of denial. It ain't just a river in Egypt, kids.
Yes, it's not just like surely it can't be a head gasket.
So surely it can't be a head gasket was basically the next 24 hours after that. Yeah,
that's right.
But we can go through some of the things. I don't know, Pat, do you want to, or Pat or Roland, do you want to kind of recap some of the so I guess we started overheating. We tried a number of things. We thought maybe it was the radiator cap, right? We thought maybe the system was burped.
It's like even Matt's internet doesn't want to hear the story.
Oh, really?
You might want to start over.
Okay. Well, if my internet's not doing well, Pat, Roland, why don't you recap is this a head gasket problem?
Yeah, so we started having radiator fluid. The way we have our overflow tank routed is so that there's it's an old NASCAR dirt track thing, so that if it starts overheating, it'll spit the coolant onto your windshield, so it visually, not just because like the gauge is yelling at you. And that was kind of one of the interesting things is the radiator gauge or the coolant gauge never really showed really very hot. I mean, eventually it got up like to 230, but we shouldn't be spitting fluid at 230 even. So yeah, Steve came in and I guess we sent Eric out at that point, right? And he came back in pretty quickly with it spitting I mean, not just spitting. It was really puking fluid at that point. And we started trying to troubleshoot. What's causing this? Is it the radiator cap? Do we have a coolant system that didn't get completely bled? I think those were kind of the two major philosophies that we were trying to work, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think the problem is, and again, we had borrowed one of those exhaust gas
Oh yeah,
kits where you put it on your cooling system and it's supposed to detect if there's exhaust gas in it, and it came up negative, but it was our first time using it. Who knows if we did it right? Pat's showing he bought one. I don't know if it works with the overflow tank. I feel like it should.
it should. You'd think.
Yeah, but maybe we just didn't do it long enough, and who knows? Maybe it's not a head gasket. I don't think you've got it apart yet. But like, it came back negative, and so when you have a test that's supposed to test if something's failed and it comes back negative, then you kind of put it out of sight, set it off to the side, and try everything else. But what's the saying? Try everything, and what's left is the answer. That's a very bad paraphrase. It's way more elegant.
Mm-hmm.
But
I like that. I like that version though.
Yeah, we tried everything else, so I'm back to it's got to be a head gasket.
Yeah.
We did the tower of coolant burping tool. You went to town and bought one of those. Alyssa thought it was like a margarita. So she's like, I got a picture of the margarita.
Yeah, we got a margarita bowl on the coolant, and then Matt and I went to town and bought a radiator cap, just in case.
Oh, is that where that came from?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we drove all the way to what's the name of that place?
Cato, maybe.
Cato.
No,
That's right.
Yeah, we found this cute little town just north of the track, like 15 minutes from the track. It's a lot closer. There's a full size Walmart there, and O'Reilly's. I don't think there's any lodging, but lots of churches. If you can sleep in a church, you'll be okay. But yeah.
Good news. By this time, it was Sunday morning, so everybody was in said churches, so we were able to cruise in and out real quick.
Yeah.
But so we try to hire, because I think you found. No, you guys go.
Yeah, I had done some research, and turns out that even the stock BMW radiator cap is a pretty high pressure cap, and the one that we were running appeared to be lower pressure than even the stock one. So we went to get it. We went and got a higher pressure cap, see if that caused a problem or fixed our problem. And all that did is when the car started overheating, it made sure there was more pressure in the overflow tank when we pulled it off. Because after we put that cap on and we brought it back in, it was overheating again. Eric went to pull the cap off like he usually does, and it just flows everywhere because we'd been doing it for a day and a half at that point, and there was never any pressure in the cap. So maybe it was a little bit of A, a little bit of B. I don't know if A could cause B. Like if there was no pressure inside of the coolant system because the cap was letting it out or it wasn't holding it, if that would cause the engine to overheat, which might cause the gasket to fail. I don't know on the root cause analysis on that kind of thing. Because I will say I don't know which block we're using and all of that stuff. I know we've had a couple. The engine seems cursed at this point of not being able to hold its own temperature, and I don't know why. And so I'm wondering if it isn't part of something inside the short block, or and it's something associated with the rest of the cooling system that's causing the failure of the cooling system. But that's where I'm to the whole. I'm not a mechanic or an engineer. I'm a IT guy that drives sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, we noticed we have some possibly bad rings on one cylinder. So, like, does a blow by, pressurize a crankcase cause something?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't be getting up into the coolant without some problem, at the head gasket. And so, then there's kind of a question: because we don't normally have an inadequate coolant system problem with this car. That's been not a real problem for a long time.
We're getting down to, we're assuming also that the coolant temp sensor was right. And
that's fair.
I mean, that's the part that's actually bugging me the most is we were blowing coolant out of the overflow at supposedly 190 degrees. And I've been to middle school. I know what temperature water boils at. And it's not 190 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, we'll double check the what I'll do. I'll pull the sensor off of the car and hook it up, and we'll be able to in some boiling water on the stove and see what our readings we're getting out of that. And that way we'll know if it's a sensor problem or not.
That's smart, Roland. I never thought about that.
It could be the sensor. That would make a lot of sense, actually.
And like we were really overheating the engine, just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Like Steve could have been out there overheating the engine for like a half hour or so. We didn't know.
Yeah, no, and that would make a lot more sense about why we have a blown head gasket on a relatively fresh rebuild that we don't think we had overheated. But you're right, if the sensor would cause that if we had a bad sensor. And that's entirely possible. So, yeah. So I think that was kind of the rest of the day. We tried to go out Sunday morning, sent Spickard out for about five or six laps, and the problem came back. I think that's when you guys ran to the parts store to get that radiator cap to try one more time. That Hail Mary got dropped on the 3-yard line. And then we tried, there was one more Hail Mary on, I don't remember what it was though. There was something else that we tried on.
I remember.
A bars leak or something?
Yeah, we tried the bars no leak. It's like if the radiator cap was a Hail Mary, I don't know what the bar is like. It's like the Statue of Liberty from your own 5-yard line.
It's the throw it downfield and then have everybody trying to do reverse laterals, 3 or 4 times to get to the end zone, right?
Yeah. The engine didn't need to be building before, it does now.
That's right. And so, we made the first completion in getting the bars leaks into the overflow coolant and immediately dropped the lateral, and then time ran out. So we just we called it a day at the track about, I don't know, before lunchtime on Sunday, and got things kind of packed up in an orderly fashion. We were very lucky. We had perfect weather all weekend. I mean, we couldn't have had better weather. And headed on home. So it was a glorious weekend while it lasted. The best part of it, for me, the best part of it always is that I get to hang out with my friends at the track.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to change my perspective and not like you guys so much and be more competitive. I want the car working better, but I do really want the car working better, but I don't want to not. My favorite part still is hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, it's a competitive sprint car. I mean, maybe come hang out at NASA.
I think that part's cool and all, but I would have loved to stint,
Yeah, me too.
Pat, what you're saying about Abraham Lincoln?
I'm sorry about that, Mrs. Lincoln, but how was the play?
Yeah,
basically.
The play was good.
I'm just hoping not to add insult to injury this weekend.
Yeah, so what's your big plan this weekend? Roland, fill us in on that.
I'm heading back out to Hallett in my sprint car and running it the other way, and for Kama on Mother's Day weekend, and see how that works.
Nice.
And which RV are you taking?
The Holiday Inn in Sand Springs.
Nice. And I might swing by. I'm taking my Miata up to up to Humble Performance to have them put in cams and E85 tune. And then
Oh, that's right.
I'll have a couple buddies at Hallett, so I might swing through.
Is Humble in Tulsa?
Yeah. So excited about that. And then Pat is probably going to be adding a 30-pound radiator cap to the race car and seeing if we can get it up to temperature.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. Try and solve it that way first. I doubt it works, but boy, wouldn't that be nice if I could change the sensor. And hey guys, it turns out we don't have a blown head gasket. We had a bad radiator cap and or a bad sensor.
Yeah, maybe check that sensor first.
We're still in Egypt. Awesome.
We are still in Egypt.
Well, yeah. I mean, I am firmly aware of the likelihood that that's not probably the solution. But before I go to the hundreds of hours of expense of reassembling another engine and swapping it essentially solo, I'd like to just completely confirm that is not the solution. Because if it is, I can take it up to ECR on a member weekend and test it out real good and confirm or not confirm. But
Yeah, that's actually one of the interesting things about lemons in general, and I guess any kind of these endurance races is it's hard to get practice unless you're going to rent a whole track. Like even when you take it up to ECR, you're not going to run anything more than 20-minute stints. Like it's not like you can go out there and just run it hard for 2.5 hours.
No, but they do the first session is usually an hour-long session in the morning. If you can get your butt up there and ready to go for the very first thing, it's usually an hour-long session. So that may be what I try and do for the next time is get up there, make sure I get out there for that first hour and really go. And then we'll see. But you're right. I mean, gotta test that sensor first, or maybe just swap the sensor.
Nice. Yep. I think that's smart.
Oh.
Very cool.
So Hallett for Roland. What's your next racing adventure, Mr. Murphy?
NASA at Hallett. We're going to have the same RV there. I got it outside of RV Share, private rental from the same folks, half price. Don't tell RV Share. And so looking forward to it. That's always a big party.
Yeah, don't put that on the podcast.
Yeah.
RV Share will find out.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure the CEO of RV Share is a dedicated listener.
Yeah.
As
only if Dave is a snitch.
Yeah,
that's right.
We did find some listeners at the track. The Dunning Cruisers.
That's right. One of my absolute favorite team names of all time. The Dunning Cruisers were paddocked almost right across from our RV, and it turns out that they are listeners and dedicated listeners, and so they got themselves a fancy new Racers HQ bumper sticker to put somewhere on their ride. And so shout out to the Dunning Cruisers. I think we're all in the Dunning-Kruger Valley of whatever they call that, the Valley of false knowledge or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think we're right there for sure. So
pretty confident in my lack of knowledge on fuel systems and cooling systems. I'm running out of systems where I think I'm confident in knowing anything on. Like as soon as I think I know a little bit about cars, something happens at a limits race. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna go over here, sit in the corner, and watch Eric work.
Mm-hmm. Or at least do it, or at least just like work the car as you're told, and not like just come up with ideas all the time. Because
yeah, I mean,
we're all constantly coming up with ideas.
Clearly.
All right. Well, we've been podcasting for about an hour. This is not my normal role, but I will take it on this time. Roland, This is our shout out section. You have any shout outs before we go off air?
No, I don't think I have any shout outs. I guess a preemptive shout out to my daughter, who's going to brave doing a comma weekend with me this weekend.
Nice.
Hanging out with old dad at the track and
Right.
see if I can get the bug.
That's awesome.
In there. That would be nice.
Aaliyah's going to have to learn how to hold the flashlight steady.
Well, that's where this differs from a lemons race. The flashlight has to come out. It's going to be to get it up on the trailer and we're driving home.
This is not that important.
This is not, the whole team endurance race. It's like, oh man, well, guess we're going home.
Pad Thai for dinner again. How about you, Matt Murphy? Got any shout outs?
Shout out to Alyssa's photography. Can't wait to host some of that on the website and maybe sell you guys some swag. But yeah, no, just shout out to the team and everybody had a great time this weekend and looking forward to NASA in June.
All
right.
Pat, I guess I should probably say, excuse me, you're wearing the shirt right there. You need to open back up the spring of the store for that shirt. I've had 3 different people ask me if they could get a shirt.
Nice.
No kidding.
Shirt. Yes.
Maybe we should get Shopify to sponsor the pod, and we can have a full on Racers HQ merch store for Racers HQ, on demand shirts, Hatsune Miku, racing shirts, random auto parts that I need to get rid of.
I've seen worse ideas on the internet.
Yeah, we got this.
All right. Shopify. If your bot is scraping the podcasts, hit us up. We're not above being bought. I will. My shout out is to my teammates. Thank you for putting up with me and continuing to come back. So, because someday this car's. I know you're not coming back for me. I know you're coming back because you all see that the car could really get there someday. And for Rachel for putting up, especially the last couple weeks. I know I've been like on pins and needles with trying to get that car ready, and so those are my big shout outs.
Are there any BMW mechanics in the Dallas area that want to be part of a team? I might give up a stint or so to make sure the car looks good.
We could use a certified BMW mechanic, yes.
And
100%.
And I'm going to be ageist on this. If the car was made before you were born, I'm not interested.
If your birthday starts with a 2, you're not the person we're looking for. I want some old grizzled German that's actually worked on these things and it put it into retirement.
Nice.
He can only read the shop manual in its original German, not the half-assed English translation. I like that.
Yeah, it's like they left out the entire chapter on why the cooling system sucks.
All right. Well, I think we've got a podcast, guys. Thank you, Roland, for joining us tonight. Mr. Murphy, thank you for your hosting duties. Dave, have a wonderful sleep tonight, and we will see you at the track. Adios.
See you, everybody. Bye, Dave.
Bye.